And can you see us?
You think you're sure on your own?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here it is.
You can see it?
No, that's YouTube. I got a notification that you just been on YouTube.
Okay.
See anything on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Then pull up your Facebook. Pull up your Facebook.
That is saying in my Facebook, but I don't know.
Don't do it. You'll mess everything up. Right there, again, right there, it tells me that I'm on YouTube and Facebook. So let's see. Yeah,
Yep,
we're here. We're live. Hi, everybody. How are you? So we are going to wait just a few more minutes until some more people come on. Okay. And I am using a new streaming platform right now that is streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. And for some reason, I cannot see anyone's comments. So if you do have comments, I will try to get my phone here in a minute so that I can see what they are, so I can answer any questions or have the senator answer any questions. So we're going to get started in just a moment. So just hang out with us and we'll be right here. Jerry, you're probably going to have to give me my phone because I can't, on here, I can't see.
I got you on YouTube here. It's probably on Facebook.
Yeah, I can't see the comments.
You mean to turn it on mine?
Yeah.
In case I can watch it, I'll turn the sound down.
So you can watch the comments.
Yeah, he's going to give me his.
Down.
Yeah, the comments. You can see it on Facebook right there.
Okay.
All right, very good. Okay, well, we're back. And so we're going to go ahead and just get started. And of course, this is Felicia Johnson. You are watching One-on-One with Felicia Johnson. And I am going to entitle this week's One-on-One with Senator Dan Sullivan, Sullivan Says. And the reason I am calling it Sullivan Says is because normally what happens is I reach out to a group of people or to a person and say, hey, we have people that want to know more about this issue or that issue. And this time, the senator reached out to me and said, I have something that I want to come on and talk about.
You're a popular platform. I mean, a lot of people listen and a lot of people pay attention.
Let me also say to anyone and everyone out there that watches this, if you have something that you want to discuss and you want to come on, please, all you have to do is inbox me, call me, text me, whatever you need to do, and get in touch with me, and we will absolutely get something scheduled. It's just not Dan Sullivan that I'll talk to. I've talked to many people and will continue to talk to many people. I also want to let you all know that I'm using a new streaming service today on Facebook and on YouTube. So I have here, your comments don't come up here anymore. So I am on the senator's Facebook page on his phone. If you have comments there, I can see those. And if you have comments and I missed them during the live, then we can get those answered and send you the answers to that. And I have Jerry, my husband, here too. If there's some outstanding ones, he'll go ahead and shoot those over to us. So Sullivan Says, Sullivan, you said that you wanted to come on tonight, and I've got 4 things that you said you want to talk about. You want to talk about, number 1, radical left progressive Democrats. You want to give us a library update. You want to talk about governments giving money to nonprofits. And you want to talk about the Central Arkansas Water and lobby impact using our taxpayer money to lobby. So that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, some of them are fairly short, but again, several of those are just informational. You know, I'm the chair of the higher ed subcommittee that will meet on the 24th, and we'll have a lot going on there. I'm also the chair of educational audit and part of the audit committee in general. And we've had some real interesting audits of state agencies recently, and just need to update the people on what's going on.
Okay.
I'm interested to hear what they think about that.
Great. So I think that's great that we know that our state government is auditing state government.
Right.
And I know that everybody says when you investigate yourself, you know how it's going to come out. Well, no, I know of one audit that did change some things that the state of Arkansas took care of. So we're interested to hear more about that. I want to get right into it.
Okay, go.
You said you want to talk about radical left progressive Democrats. You want to know who are they? What's their platform? Who speaks for them? And why are they afraid to meet in public? Let's talk about a couple things first. When you say radical left progressive Democrats, let's talk about the words radical and progressive.
Yeah, first of all, I was not the one who gave them that moniker. That moniker came about through a member, one of the leading members in our county, and likely the state, of the radical left progressive party. So when I keep repeating that title, I did not name them. They named themselves. Now, one can go on the internet and look up the Progressive Democrat Party, and they have a platform. And that platform, you can agree with it or disagree with it, but that's what their platform is. And they're very willing to discuss it. They are part of groups called Run for Something. There's another group called Get Loud or Get Louder. There are several progressive groups that are recruiting candidates. There's candidate training that the progressives are doing statewide. As a matter of fact, if you go on the Arkansas Progressive Democrat Facebook page, if I read it correctly, they do regular trainings online, phone conversations for people who want to run for office and discuss their platforms. They're discussing what legislation to run, what that legislation looks like. And on their own page, they say they want to present that proposed legislation to legislators. So if that's what the Progressive Party wants, what does it mean to be radical? So
I did look that term up, just in general for everybody.
Yeah.
So the definition of radical, not just radical Republicans or Democrats or anything, it says radical politics denotes the intent to transform or replace the fundamental principles of a society or political system, often through social change, structural change, revolution, or radical reform. The process of adopting radical views is termed radicalization. Do you think that we use the word radical too loosely?
No, I think that accurately describes them. I mean, when you have people, this group of people, and again, they name themselves, they fall within that category. They are out protesting businesses. They were boycotting businesses, trying to shut businesses down. You keep hearing, if you watch Facebook, they say, well, Dan's a bully. He's attacking a private citizen. Well, the radical left is attacking private citizens also. They're attacking businesses, trying to shut them down. They attacked a group of private citizens, women, who were holding a meeting at one of our local community rooms. They protested and made their point well, because that business said, we don't want to be affiliated with protest. We're a good business. We don't want people driving by our business and seeing protesters out there. So we're not going to allow any more meetings such as this to happen in our community room. Now, that's not bullying and trying to shut people down, but that's, to me, what you just read and defined radical. That's how you do it. You shut people down.
Well, let me ask you, just in the history of the U.S., okay, don't you think the founding fathers were radical?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They incited riots, the writing of the Constitution, the forming of a new nation. So,
yeah, our Declaration of Independence is about as radical a government, and our revolution was radical. Matter of fact, Jefferson said a good revolution every once in a while is a good thing.
So then tell me then what the problem is with being a radical left progressive Democrat.
Yeah, why do you hide?
Okay.
If you're going to be a radical, I mean, if you looked at if you make that comparison, which is very valid, the Federalist Papers, when the Declaration of Independence was written, the Federalist Papers went out and described and told people what they were doing. And they prepared a nation to revolt.
So, okay. So I think I'm coming into understanding now. You're saying that the radicals from that time, you knew who they were. They would stand up and say, I'm Felicia Johnson and I am a part of this.
Yeah, they hung a couple of them.
Okay. And here is my platform. And
Right.
this is what my group stands for. So am I understanding you correctly that you are saying that in our town, in our city, in our county, in our country, that members of the so-called radical left progressive Democrats don't want you to know who they are individually and as a whole?
I'm speaking just about Craighead County and Jonesboro.
Okay.
I don't have information on the other counties in Jonesboro, but I know, because I've dealt with them quite a bit, what they identify as radical left. And I know by their actions what they do and what they don't do. So if you're going to, again, protest, boycott, and you've looked at some of their emails and posts and the vile language that they use at people, and trying to shut them down. If that's your tactic and you're here in Craighead County, I think you have an obligation to talk to the citizens of Craighead County. You know, people said, well, we're constituents. I'm not running. I'm not a candidate. Well, first of all, everybody's a candidate till filing. Everybody. When you have a Facebook page recognized by Facebook as a political page, when you have an active account with the Secretary of State's campaign page, when you attend multiple candidate trainings, when you run for something, when you attend all these statewide events, and then you say, I'm not a candidate, or I'm a private citizen. Okay, you're a private citizen. However, do those things, you have a responsibility, an obligation to come before the people and convince them your party has value.
So if you're saying that, okay.
If you want people to vote for you, because I'll guarantee you when people are saying that the radical progressive left is saying, I'm not running, particularly Chenoa. I'm not running.
Okay.
Well, you're going to endorse somebody.
So there we have it. So are you saying that your former political opponent for state senate in your districts, Chenoa Summers, is a part of the radical left progressive Democrat Party?
She says that.
She says that. Okay.
Yeah, that's not me. Again, I'm not the one saying Chenoa Summers is a radical left progressive. She says that.
Okay. So now that we do have a name and we can say that, is that enough for you? Should that be enough? We know that Ms. Summers says that she is a part of this type of group and this type of party. So now that we know that, now what?
Well, now I think she is definitely the leader of that party. In my opinion, she's the leader of the entire Democrat Party. You know, many of the people that ran for offices in Craighead County, whether it was local or city or state, were, matter of fact, statewide. Many of them, you can find their names listed on the Progressive Party of Arkansas, Progressive Democrat Party of Arkansas. And you see they're listed. They did very poorly. I think Chenoa's husband only garnered about 22 or 3% of the vote, which means a bunch of Democrats weren't voting for him. But I think you have an obligation, if you're going to be out publicly and you're presenting yourself in public and you're doing these things that I call radical, I think the spokesperson, whoever that might be, whether it's Chenoa or someone else, maybe it's the chair of the Democrat Party would come on and explain to us what the differences are between the radical progressives, the progressives, and the Democrats.
So we focused a lot on the Democratic Party. So let's talk about radicalism in your own party. Okay. And what do you say to that? What do you say to those candidates who are seen to have a bit of white supremacy going on? Because that is.
Well, yeah, they call me a white supremacist.
Okay.
Many people did.
So people are calling you a white supremacist. And do you know why they're calling you that? Do you have, has anyone said, Senator Sullivan, you said this, and that makes you a racist?
Yeah, the entire Black Caucus, I think, told me that, as did the Arkansas? NAACP. Didn't use those words.
Okay.
But those were good discussions. I mean, they were a little bit heated, and There was some controversy there, but we were able to look each other in the eye and talk about those. If you're willing to look people in the eye and talk about policies, I don't know that is you can be classified as a radical. What that happened over was Senate Bill 71 is where a lot of that came from. And now the Supreme Court has said that affirmative action is over in all the universities in Arkansas. And one of the things we're going to talk about later is Central Arkansas Water. They had a group called JEDI, who I think was lobbying. I think they violated lobbying laws, and they called me a white supremacist. I don't know. You've known me for a long time. I won't ask you that question on the air.
I have known you for a long time,
Yeah.
and I do not believe that you're a white supremacist, and I do not believe that you are racist. I will tell you, though, Senator, that I do believe that you are
I'm further right than a lot of people.
and you are a very white man in a red county in a red state. And so I think that sometimes it is difficult when I just
I would agree with
generalize
that.
it
Yeah, I would
for
agree.
you to hear and try to understand what people in BIPOC communities are saying to you. But I also know that part of that is political because, and I'm not saying that you do this, but you don't have to because your base is not me.
True, but I've reached out to our African American community and made good efforts in that sense. Met with a number of our African American community members, and I'd be interested in hearing if they think I'm a white supremacist. Again, I think I think you described it pretty well. I'm a white guy in a red state in a predominantly white area, and what I think and know is based upon my past, and I'm trying to learn.
Okay, and so if we are, if me, just speaking as me as an African American woman, that right there for me starts a conversation.
Yeah.
But I also believe that there's a start to a conversation, and hopefully it's ongoing. But I do know that words for me, like leftist, it may be for someone in your party, racist or snowflake, or you're overly emotional on both sides and calling names. Like, what have you been called?
Well, name it. Just about
Danny
every
boy,
fascist, Danny boy,
fascist, a white
creepy.
supremacist.
Creepy is the latest one. He's creepy.
He's a creepy old
racist,
white man, racist.
Yeah, white guy,
liar. Those
liar.
things
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
do not
Go on
help.
Chenoa's Facebook page. You'll see them all.
Those things do not help move any party, any individual, or the people forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's why, I had this event scheduled, a town hall scheduled for tomorrow. We canceled it and moved it to the 28th. But we had it scheduled, and that's why I offered in good faith, not a debate. And people keep saying she doesn't have to debate. Chenoa doesn't have to debate. That's true. I just offered a platform. If you want to stand up uninterrupted and tell us what the progressive, radical progressive party is, I said, just stand up there and tell us. And I won't interrupt.
So, okay, so let me see if
And let me make one more point. I think you can tell who people are by their actions. So people may say he's a white supremacist. So what have I done that a white supremacist would do?
Okay.
I think the LEARNS Act is a tremendous in favor of our African American community. I think it's the best thing going. If you look at the stats for our African American children in 3rd through 5th through 8th grade, their reading scores are abysmal. And when I called a chancellor of a traditionally black college who oversees the Minority Scholarship Fund, and we had a discussion, we disagreed. But when I asked him, I said, so who do you want going into teaching in the Delta? Is your first priority to get quality teachers, or is your first priority to get black teachers? Which is it?
And I remember you came on and we kind of debated with NAACP local chapter President Shamal Carter about that.
Yeah, and if we disagree, if you think you have to have quality black teachers, I would agree, yes. But in lieu of that, because we don't have people wanting to be teachers in the first place, if you can't entice them, then what's the priority? It should be to get the best teachers we can into the Delta and get those scores up. And if you look at scores in Jonesboro, the African American students aren't doing well at all. And this LEARNS Act put $250 million into hiring literacy coaches. $250 million. And they can't use it for anything else. Can't use it for your athletics or other programs. You can't use it to build buildings. It has to go to help children learn to read.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
So give me some reasons why you think that African American students in, what did you say, in Craighead County?
Mm-hmm.
In Craighead County are struggling with reading.
Well, part of it is the home environment. You have to be in a home where reading happens regularly. Statistics, if you can believe them, say that it is more prevalent in the white community than it is in the African American community. It's more prevalent in the Asian community than the white community.
That we're reading at home?
Yeah, that literacy is important at home. That's probably number one. Number two, I think we have to have training for our teachers. I think our teachers are doing the very best they can. It's a tough job. And teaching reading is a tough job. I know I taught reading in the third grade for a couple of years. It's tough. And it takes a specialized skills and training to do that. That's what that $250 million is for, is to bring in teachers who are specialists and to train all teachers to be specialists in reading.
So, I'm just going to push back on some things.
Okay.
So
if the progressive radical left shows up, you'll push back on them?
Yeah, I'll push back on them.
Okay, that's probably why they're not coming.
Okay. So we're going to speak in general terms, and for all of you out there, then we are speaking in general terms. And I don't have any stats or anything about this, but if you're saying that one of the reasons that African American students in Craighead County have lower reading scores than their white counterparts is because of a home environment, and you don't think that literacy in reading is placed as a premium at home.
Yeah, you can't. That's a big generalization.
But where did you get that?
Well, because that's what data show, that if your parents can't read, then you can't read.
Now, Sullivan, because I know how I just heard that, but it wasn't what you said. I just heard you say that Black parents in Craighead County are not
any parent, white, Black,
but
Asian.
We were talking specifically.
Okay, well, I'll just to clarify that. Then.
Right.
Anyone, regardless of your race,
Okay.
regardless of your religion, regardless of your sex, regardless of all those things, if reading is not a priority in the home and literacy, and your parents struggle with reading and literacy, the child is going to.
Okay, I needed you to fix that.
Yeah, I appreciate
because I was about to get you.
Rightly so.
Okay, all right. Because I was about to say, now wait a minute. Now I do believe that when we break things down and we have studies and we look and we say, okay, well, our African American students are struggling here, our Asian students are struggling here. I do believe that data meets that out. But I also believe that when we speak in those terms without solutions, that's how things get all muddy. So I'm going to bring that back to your that what you call them, the radical left. No, what did you say they call themselves?
Radical left,
progressive Democrats.
Right.
So one of your questions was, who are they? And so you were able to name at least one name that you say has self-identified as a member of the radical left progressive Democrats in Craighead County. And you have said that you feel like this person is the leader of the Democrats, the leader of the Craighead.
My opinion.
Your
yes.
opinion.
Most outspoken.
Here.
Loudest voice.
Okay. So we know who you say that is. And you're asking, what is their platform?
Right.
What do you think their platform is?
Just scream and holler. They have a group, I think it's called Get Loud. And I think they're just going to get loud. The Democrat governor candidate, Chris Jones, had a plan, a good plan. He had a lot of strong points to it. And I think we are replicating in a different way many of the things that he suggests. So, what does a radical believe? And Chris is, I think I would classify Chris, I don't know how he does himself. I thought he was a pretty moderate Democrat, stood for a lot of the platform issues that are generally Democrats believe in. And he came up with a plan to help teachers, to give them a bonus. We did that. The radicals were screaming and hollering, "You'll never do it. You'll never do it." We did it. We gave the bonus salaries. We gave the salary increases. People are saying there's not enough money. There's not enough money. You can't continue it. We'll continue it. The one thing the Arkansas Constitution does, the number one thing we have to fund is education. And I think our governor and Chris have both been very clear. We have to get better. You don't get better by doing the same things we've always done. If this bill, and the radical left protested, gathered signatures to kill the LEARNS Act, all those things that the governor proposed would have been washed away, and guess what we have been doing? The same thing we've been doing for decades that hasn't been successful, except for Mississippi and sometimes Alabama would beat them. It's time to do things differently.
Okay, so talk to me let's just talk about the word radical, because we could use that for Democrats, we can use that for Republicans. So the radical left progressive Democrats, you say, their platform is just to be loud, to scream the loudest about.
Yeah, protest, shut people down. I mean,
Okay.
You read the posts they put on me, they don't ever discuss policy like we're doing. It is just a slam. He's old, grandpa, he's a fascist, he's a, whatever you want to name there. And factually, we disagree. I mean, they would rather do things I'm not doing. I don't know what I would do if I were in their position and I could not win a race in Craighead County or in Jonesboro, and nothing I did or said people are going to vote for. I don't know what I'd do. I might, in their position, feel more radicalized myself. But at least you need to come before the people and say, I am a member of the Radical Left Progressive Party, and my name is, and here are my 4 or 5 people we agree with, or 50, or whatever, and here's what our platform is. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to change Jonesboro by shutting down one of the most favored coffee shops in the town. We want to shut them down because they signed a petition.
But do you think that's fair? And I'm saying that, some Republicans have embraced the term radical as well.
Yeah, they can. They can do it. If you want to do that, go ahead. So, it's your right to protest.
So then, don't you feel like, or don't you think that any term with radical in it turns the voter off?
Yes, I don't know why they'd use it. Why would you call yourself a radical? Even David Duke didn't do that. But if you're going to run in Craighead County, but again, if you were, for a while, they were radical, but didn't have the name. But they weren't as prevalent in Craighead County. Now they're doing candidate training. They're raising money. They're trying to do all the things a political party would do, except go before the public and say, this is who we are and this is what we stand for.
So your only fault right now, or your only concern or issue with the so-called and I say so-called only because I can't remember where I saw that, so I'm not saying that ugly.
It's on Genoa's Facebook page.
Radical left progressive Democrats is that you don't know who the true leaders of the party are, who represents the party, and what the platform is.
Exactly. Just come on and do that. Just tell us what you believe in. I think one who was called, if you're going to call someone a white supremacist, and I think there are people who own that title and are proud of that. And they will come on and tell you exactly what they believe. They'll own who they are. And I think I call myself a conservative Republican, right of center, and I own that. And I'm willing to tell you what I believe and what I don't believe. And if you're going to label yourself as something as a political party, and you're an activist, it's not like you're sitting over in a room by yourself going, I'm a radical. I'm a radical. You're running around hollering it.
Right.
You ought to be able to step forward and say, this is who we are. This is what we believe. And please donate $1,000 to our campaign.
So I know that in times past, when you have been on, we have talked about the Republican Party. We've talked about the Republican Party and its continued stronghold in Craighead County and its stronghold, of course, in the state. I am in the belief that to get you out of office and others like you, that Democrats, period, whether progressive, whether radical, whether leftist, have got to do something different. I know that sometimes when you go on your Facebook page, I call you a troll, because even though it's on your page and you're not on someone else's page.
I don't know how that works. I'm a troll on my own page.
Yeah, you're trolling your own
Okay.
page because you will post something just to get reaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I want to
so
know how people feel.
You want to know how people feel.
Mhm.
And so, of course, you get people that agree with you, but a lot of times you get people that do not agree with you.
Mhm.
And I have found that instead of saying, this is why I disagree with this, and having a conversation that is not attacking the individual, that individuals get attacked. And I'm not saying you're doing the attacking.
Well, listen, I'll admit I'm not the easiest guy to deal with. If you're going to come after me, the idea that you're a citizen and exempt from comments by Dan Sullivan, you're wrong.
And I will say that, even in business or whatever, people push and push and push and push and push. And then when you meet them where they are, then it's all of a sudden, well, you're not professional. And I can't believe. So there's different standards that people try to hold you to when one of them should just be decency. And so if you disagree with me, that's this issue. But the name calling is a concern for me as someone who, for the majority of my life, has been a Democrat and who votes for the liberal party.
Yeah, more African Americans are coming to the Republican Party in Arkansas than ever before. The Democrat Party is bleeding constituents of all races, particularly of the African Americans.
And why do you think that the Democratic Party is bleeding, and why do you think they're bleeding specifically in their African American?
That'd be a great question for the chair of the Democrat Party. Invite him on. He's probably listening. Somebody
Who would that
will.
be?
I don't know his name.
Okay.
But if he will reach out, let him come on and talk about that.
What do you think it is? What do you think it's representative of?
So, as a white supremacist, you want to know?
No, because you're not a white supremacist, but as a Republican member of, I can't, a Republican member
I can
of our
tell you
legislature.
that. Yeah, because I think the family values and traditional values are important to people. And that doesn't mean that people have an alternative lifestyle have less value. That's not true at all. But the traditional family, man, woman, child, traditional schools where you focus on learning, reading, and writing, those traditional cultural values that we have always had for decades, or over 2 centuries now, are being trashed. And it's the radical progressive left that are saying none of those values are worth anything. Throw them all away. If you want to live an alternative lifestyle, go ahead.
So
nobody's complaining about that.
So are you saying that there are not LGBTQ members that are Republicans?
No, there are. Yeah, because they've had the same values. They want to have a family. They value their spouse or their loved ones. They value their loved ones as much as I do.
But their definition of family.
Well, they may. That doesn't mean that we can't have platforms of agreement on many, many things. Okay. Businesses. You have mentioned you're probably lean more Republican on the business side and less on cultural issues. We can still talk and move forward on all those things we agree on. The Republican Party just elected the former county judge of Washington County to the head of the Republican Party. He's an African American.
Joseph Wood,
a great guy. There are several prominent Republicans African Americans, and they are growing fast.
So
You need to ask the Democrats
Okay.
why, and ask the African Americans why are they leaving the Republican Party or Democrat Party.
Okay. So I want to ask you.
Will you do that?
So are you challenging me to?
No, I
to
would
do
never
that?
challenge you on your own show.
No, challenge me.
Okay, have the chair of the Democrat Party come on and bring a couple of his officers or people, Garrett Barnes. Bring on Garrett and have them ask why or respond to.
You just have to say that name, don't you?
I do, yeah. But he's an elected official.
He is.
And
He's
a leader in the county
If
government.
you don't know who Garrett Barnes is a Craighead County Justice of the Peace.
And I think the only elected Democrat in the last election, there may have been a woman on city council or JP that was elected who's a Democrat, reelected, I should say.
Okay.
But, we had multiple races up for grabs and open positions and contested positions. I think Garrett was the only Democrat that really won.
So before the live, of course, you know my Kennedy, and way back in the day when she was a little girl, when you were running for office, you came by and put a sign in the yard, and we've kind of followed you since then. And we know that this is her first full week in law school at the University of Arkansas. And when I sat down with you, I was just speaking about just if she decided to go into politics, that it may be best for her to be electable as an African American in this state to run as a Republican.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people switching parties, and for a lot of different reasons. Some just to get elected. But if you're true to the platform, I think the platform is broad enough, and you can look at the voting record of many current legislators and see clearly that some are more moderate than others. Some are more conservative than others. Same thing in the Democrat Party. It used to be that you had a lot of conservative Democrats. You don't see many conservative Democrats in the legislature anymore. Most of them transferred to be Republicans.
So I do want to kind of talk about this as a former voting member of the Democratic Party. And this is just for myself. On social issues, I lean very liberal, very liberal. On my money, I lean very, very conservative. And when I say that, I mean with taxes and interference by regulation and things of that nature.
We need to do another one on that because I think you and I are probably a lot closer than either of us thinks.
So how does either party, the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, where is a place for someone like me? Someone who, and I'm very conservative in my my biblical and Christian beliefs. So what do you think that the parties are not doing or doing to bring more people like me into their ranks?
Well, I visit with you all the time and try to recruit you to join our party.
And what do I keep saying?
I think you'd be a great Republican.
And what do I keep saying?
And I bring all the top Republicans to meet with you.
And what do I keep telling you?
Be quiet.
Be quiet. I'm not doing it. I feel like too with both parties, of course, there's not going to be something that you agree with across the board. But I will tell you that when I see one party saying this party is calling names and blah, blah, but then this party starts calling names and they refuse to come to the table, they shut the conversation down about issues, but they're just attacking on the person. That's hard for me to stomach because that's not what I'm going to look for.
Right.
Now, far be it for me to be holier than thou, because I might get on Facebook and tell you off if you're coming for me. But on the issue,
I'm smarter than that.
On the issue and not on you personally. So for some people like me, that's just hard to put into context.
Yeah, listen, I agree. We're on the same page on that, and it is hard. And you have to find the candidate that represents most of your values, realizing they're going to disappoint you in different subject areas and on different topics.
Would you agree with me that this two-party system sucks?
It can, yeah. I don't think there's a better one, but I think
no,
it's
maybe
difficult.
not a better one, but
Right. That's hard. For one thing, a lot of people don't understand. I don't know if they missed 9th grade civics or what, but they keep saying they holler on Facebook. You represent me. Well, yeah, I was elected by the people of Craighead County District 20 elected me. So yeah, I represent you. That doesn't mean you can call me up and tell me how to vote.
Correct.
That's not going to happen. And when you say, well, you represent me, you need to do this. Well, right now, it's you represent me, have an open town hall. We want to come and yell at you. Okay, we'll do that on the 28th.
So let's talk about that. So I know that there's been some conversation between you and Mrs. Summers or some in her camp trying to set up a town hall. And so I think, and let me not put words in your mouth, that you say that camp just wants you to show up and do a town hall so they can all just slam you. Is that what your feeling is?
That's what it sounds like. We'll see on the 28th. But you don't hear anybody saying we want to talk about the LEARNS Act. And like we had an agenda with when we did the last time with the NAACP, we had an agenda to talk about.
Right. When we had normally when we bring on guests, we have an agenda.
Yeah.
We know what we're going to.
Yeah.
We don't I don't say, Dan, here's the.
Just like we did
know
tonight. Right.
But it's on here that we've already talked about. Like these are the things that we want to talk about. We just don't come here and sit down and have a free for all.
Yeah, you don't hear people. They'll probably start tomorrow. But up to today, you didn't hear anybody say we want to have a town hall because we have questions on the LEARNS Act. We have questions on prison reform. We have questions on highways. We have questions on the library bill. You don't hear them say that. You just say you need to be accountable to us. Set up a town hall where we can come, and essentially the same people that yell at you on Facebook, I make the assumption they just want to yell at me in person. So if you want to do that, I refereed basketball in college and high school. I've had plenty of people yelling at me. It doesn't bother me. Come on, and I'll give you the floor. We'll probably limit all your questions to a minute or 2 minutes. But listen, this is your shot. Come on and do it. Or if you have a real question to ask, let's have that discussion.
So tell us when this town hall is and who it's with and where we can join.
It is the 28th, isn't it? I think it's Monday night.
Monday night, the 28th.
Yeah.
Okay.
6:30 at the Pavilion on Union.
Okay. The new Pavilion on Union.
The new pavilion.
People need to bring their own chairs.
Bring your own chair.
So
and,
Dan Sullivan.
Bring water.
State
Stay
Senator
hydrated.
Dan Sullivan is going to be in a town hall with
everybody that brings a chair and shows up.
Well, who else is it? Just going to be
just
you?
Me. Yeah.
Just himself. So no matter who you are out there, you are able to join. It is going to be at the pavilion, the outdoor pavilion on Union Street. That is just south of the United Way building. You'll see everybody. And if you come to that, please bring all of your questions and also go ahead and bring chairs to sit there as well.
And water.
Because it will probably be hot. So give us a library update because you have on here that you want to talk that the Saline Quorum Court sets things straight on who's in charge of county operations, the Quorum Court or the library board.
Yeah, the judge, first of all, Act 372, the library bill, the judge did not declare it unconstitutional. It is not unconstitutional. The judge didn't say it was unconstitutional. He said there were a couple of parts that he was enjoining from taking effect.
Okay.
So part of the bill took effect. The part about librarians are now subject to obscenity. The part about that said librarians could not tell parents what books they're checking out. That part is in law. The part that didn't become law and was enjoined and did not go into effect is where the appeal process went to the Quorum Court and the county judge after the library board decided.
Okay.
So what that effectively did, and this is what Saline County is meeting tonight, you'll probably see some posts on that. Their Quorum Court is doing a couple of things. One, they are taking the job of hiring the librarian away from the library board, and the Quorum Court is assuming that responsibility.
Okay.
Money that flows, your tax dollars, property tax dollars, flow directly to the library. So the Quorum Court cannot short them, cut them, defund them. They get the money, but the Quorum Court can review their budget and talk about budget items. You can buy this, you can't buy that. We want to go to Hawaii. No, you can't. So essentially the judge said that the library board and library board, once appointed, is the ultimate authority. Constitution of the state of Arkansas, I think it's Article 55, I believe, says that everyone employed by the county level is responsible to the judge. So both those things can't be true. It can't be true that the library is now independent and can do whatever it wants, and also be true that the judge is the top elected authority there. So in Saline County, if this passes tonight, and they anticipate it will, the quorum court will be doing a few things. One, they'll be hiring the library director. Two, they'll be reviewing the budget. Three, they will be having an audit every year. But they took over some of those responsibilities, which is exactly what the district judge, circuit judge said they had the ultimate authority, and this bill says no. So we appealed to the Court of Appeals in St. Louis, 8th District, and so that's where the bill lies now. That's the update.
So tell me, why are you trying to shut down the library? Why?
Well,
you already said that our students cannot read.
Right.
So why in the world are you trying to shut down our library?
Well, they do not have, it's a public library. Explicit material should not be in the hands of children.
Okay.
And the American Library Association, the head of the association is a self-identified Marxist. She says she is. She belongs to that party. She runs the American Library Association, and they have a Bill of Rights. And in that Bill of Rights, I think it's number 5, it says that no material should be withheld from children of any age for any reason, not just books, movies, all the material there, artwork, all that material should be available to children regardless of their age. So when you look at some of the books that are in the children's section in some libraries, that is very sexually explicit, showing sexual positions. It's not educational, that doesn't count. It's just literature should be out of that section into a different section of the library, not burned, not withdrawn, not thrown away. Dr. Seuss was kicked out of our library. You knew that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can have kids having sex. You can have stories about dads raping their daughter, and the daughter, her responses to that. You can have that in the children's section, but you can't have Dr. Seuss. Okay. There's some problems there, and it ought to be resolved by the quorum court. They're elected by the people, and they ought to be the final arbiter of where things are in the library.
So I know, and I think the general public knows how you feel about critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you saying about local school districts, including Jonesboro Public Schools, Little Rock Public Schools, that are offering credits for AP African American Studies?
Yeah, I haven't seen the curriculum. I think I'd like to see that curriculum.
Very good, because the Arkansas Times is saying that these courses are going to be checked for plans or evidence of critical race theory indoctrination.
Yeah, well, if that's what they say, Arkansas Times and I are really good friends. I'm featured quite often in their editorial section. I don't know that I trust the Arkansas Times any more than I trust any other publication. I want to see the curriculum and see what it is that's contested. I believe what the governor said is they want to review it. They haven't had time to review the curriculum. And until they have time to review it, I don't know that they know what's in it or not.
Okay. So if these courses are reviewed and they meet whatever they're supposed to meet.
Yeah, for example, if they are truly African American history and they're not indoctrination, I'm confident they'll be approved.
And will you support that approval?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a white supremacist.
So, because that just kind of surprised me a little bit that you said you would support that. So I don't know what my next question is supposed to be, y'all, because he surprised me.
Well, support what? Maybe I misunderstood.
Well,
we don't agree that much.
Support, and
if it's a history course, mm-hmm. And includes all of African American history, Arkansas African American history, if that's what the course is, fine.
And do you think that students should receive credit for it?
Yeah.
Very good.
I mean, if it's DEI, if the whole purpose is intersectionality and divisive, We have a state law on that. If it passes the muster of the state law, which passed court approval, I guess nobody has filed suit against it that I'm aware of. But if that law passed and the course follows the state law, yeah, absolutely.
So I know you probably haven't had time to look at this because I'm just now seeing it, but I'm reading something here that says the Arkansas Education Secretary sent letters to superintendents letting them know that because of suspicions that the classes may violate the new state laws, that they were going to have to be inspected.
Yeah, turn them in, and we want to review
Okay.
it. And if it passes review and doesn't violate the law, I anticipate it will be allowable.
Okay. So the College Board, who's the nonprofit organization that runs AP courses, pushed back saying that they're refuting accusations of indoctrination and called out the Arkansas Department of Education for failing to do their own homework of reviewing course framework that's been available online for months.
Okay.
So if that is true,
If what's true, that they
if
haven't
the
reviewed
course,
it?
yeah, that if
Yeah,
the
okay.
coursework has been online for months and the Arkansas Department of Education if this is true, has not reviewed it, what do you think is going on there?
Well, from what I know, I would say they should have reviewed it. Now, I don't know the details of why or how or who's responsible for that, but I'd say, yeah, we need to review it and review it quickly.
Okay. So I'm very proud to hear you say that. Would you agree, and I know this is not everything, we're going to get back to this, would you agree that African-American history is Arkansas history is American history?
Absolutely. 2 years ago, I gave you about a 14-page for Black History Month. I gave you a 14-page list of where African-American history and African-American history in Arkansas, and proposed that as to the Arkansas legislature to have that read into the record and official, and it got voted down. And you know what passed? A 1-page, 2 or 3 paragraph recognizing African-American history. And you know that we had several people, African-Americans from this community, who read that. One of them refused to comment. Several of them said it's true. And like it or not like it, I proposed that as a resolution recognizing African-American history. The one that passed, and I was criticized because it had no African-American sponsors. I did go to a few people and asked for their opinions on it. They didn't get back. You know how many white Americans or Arkansans were on the African-American one that did pass?
How many?
0.
So let me ask you something. Do you remember what my stance was to that resolution?
Yeah.
What was it?
It had too many Democrat things that were not, the Democrats were the bad guys on it.
I was upset because why? Because why, Dan?
Well, it's true.
Why?
Well, that was true that
What
the
did I
Democrat
say
Party,
about that?
that the parties have changed.
And I also said that I don't think that Republicans, when you're putting it all off on one party, because for me, racism is not a party. It literally is
Yeah, I agree.
just people. But
It's a political issue. It absolutely is. You
But
can't
it
deny
shouldn't
that.
be.
Shouldn't well, maybe it is.
But it shouldn't be.
Yeah, but the fact that I
Do you
keep saying this
believe
too
it's a-
much.
do you
If
believe
I'm a
that's
white
a-
supremacist, is also a political. That
Do you
shouldn't be either.
believe that it's a heart problem?
Absolutely. Yeah. And do I believe that racism is still prevalent? Absolutely. Racism is still prevalent in every person. We're humans. And that's one of the things that is of the human characteristic, that we are sinners in need of a savior. And many people are trying to change and move away from some of our racist attitudes that my ancestors have had, your ancestors have had, and other ancestors
My
have had.
ancestors are racist.
Yeah.
My ancestors were racist.
Well, I said they have racist feelings come up with them. Doesn't mean you act on them, but we are prejudice is part of what everybody does. And I think racism.
I'm gonna have to bring you back on this because
no.
I think you done messed up, and I'm about to take you down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
And I do not have we do not have time tonight to go
Okay.
down that, but I'm gonna get you.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm gonna bring you back.
Bring
to talk
somebody
about
from the
that.
radical left to talk about it with us.
Okay, we'll do it. Tell us about the Pulaski County Waste donating
Pulaski-
thousands of
yeah.
our tax dollars to nonprofits.
Pulaski County Waste is just what they say. They collect the waste of Pulaski County and ship it out and do something with it. I don't know where it goes.
Okay.
They donated, I think it's about $163,000 to nonprofits. Now, state law, the Attorney General says you can donate to nonprofits that further your mission.
Okay, but not just in general.
Not just in general. So they donated to, I think one painting was $16,000 and one painting was $17,000. They had an artist do a sculpture for the Clinton Museum, and the sculpture was made out of trash. I think you paid a little over $30,000 for that. And there's a whole list of things that public money is going to private nonprofits, and it's your tax dollar. I would contend that they shouldn't be allowed. No government entity should be able to use tax dollars to donate to anyone, regardless of what that is. That's your money. And if they need to give it back to you, and if you want to donate it to someone, go ahead, or keep it yourself. But I don't want any government institution deciding who they're going to donate to, who they're going to not donate to. I had a guy ask me today, I forgot his name. He said, what's the difference between the LEARNS Act giving money to private schools and government agencies donating to nonprofits? Tremendous difference. Great question. We're giving the money back to the parent. The parent then decides how to use it. They can go to public school, they can go to private school, they can homeschool, as long as they meet certain standards. So we're donating money back to the people who put it in there, which is completely different than a government institution taking that money and deciding who they're going to support or not support.
Okay. And tell us about the Central Arkansas Water is lobbying PAC, and it's using our tax dollars.
Central Arkansas Water, yes. Waste. This is water, not waste.
Not waste.
This is water. Okay. So Central Arkansas Water provides all the water in Pulaski and several other counties. They had a group called JEDI, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I don't know how they formed. We're going to have hearings on that very soon. But they published and sent to all their customers. I don't know how many customers are in Central Arkansas. There's a whole bunch.
Yeah.
They donated, they and all their employees, and they sent out a email to everyone calling me a white supremacist, lobbying against Senate Bill 71, telling people things that just were not true. For example, they said this would end affirmative action in the state of Arkansas. Not true. It ended government affirmative action. It didn't end affirmative action anywhere else. It also had certain protections in there for government affirmative action, that if it was tied to federal money, you still got to do that. So they put out this email to everybody and listed references where you could go. And there are lobbying laws. So if you spend a certain amount of money over a certain amount of time, if you spend a certain amount of hours, you have to register as a lobbyist. So it's my contention that these folks were lobbying because it's $400. It doesn't take much. You guys probably spend $400 walking in the door. So if they spend over that, I contend they are lobbyists, and they ought to be investigated by the proper authorities, which is the Ethics Commission. And we're going to bring them in, and they'll get a chance on, I think it's the 29th of August, to explain what it is they're doing and why.
Not that you care, Senator.
Not that I care.
Not that you care about what I'm about to say. But, we have talked about ending what you call state-sponsored discrimination.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. What did you say?
State-sponsored affirmative action.
I said, okay.
Two hugely different things.
State-sponsored affirmative action.
Affirmative action, right.
So you probably don't know this, but if you do know it, stop me. Do you know that Carol Doty Johnson, who was once the executive director of the Arkansas Fair Housing Commission, just won a $1.7 million verdict from an Oregon jury because of racial discrimination at work. She was hired.
Was it government work?
Mm-hmm.
Which
It was
what
the
was
government work. It was the former Oregon Labor Bureau manager.
she? Okay.
So this is my issue. She was hired as an African American minority. They knew she was African American. Okay, so yeah. Well, I say this because we hear people aren't racist like they used to be. These things aren't happening. I mean, my goodness, we had a black president, so we can't be racist. Not realizing that just because you may hire me does not mean that I still don't face certain things about race in the workplace. So her boss at the time is now like the governor, or I don't, may not be the governor, but is in state government. This says that the jury awarded her $1.7 million to the Oregon Labor Bureau manager, who used to be the state of Arkansas Federal Fair Housing executive director, because she said that, and now it's a fact, that she was racially discriminated and was told that she created a hostile workplace and for whistleblower retaliation. Her actual damages were $9,170, and the punitive is $1.72 million.
Yeah, I don't know the details of that, but I can tell you that Arkansas federal law still applies in Arkansas.
Okay.
And if she were protected by federal law, Senate Bill 71 would not have done anything to that.
Okay. So.
And all the Senate Bill 71 applied to higher ed. Now, the Supreme Court has said you can't discriminate. It applied to purchasing. So you can't purchase based upon immutable characteristics. And it's based on purchasing and hiring. You have to hire people of the based on their merit. That's what the bill did.
Okay.
And if one wanted to come and say what she said and she won in federal court, more power to you. That's what federal courts are for.
Okay. Well, Senator, have you talked enough about the radical left progressive Democrats? And what do you say they do? They do nothing but holler and scream.
Well, yeah, and protest.
That's what Dan Sullivan saying.
I just want to hear
that's
the
not
platform.
Me. He wants to know the platform.
There you go.
And so, when do you think that you're going to hear their platform? When can we expect?
You're probably seeing it right now.
Okay. So, again, any of my lives that I do, if you want to do a live with me, if you want me to interview you, if you don't, that's fine.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
About that. So you're going to have a lot of people that say, interview me, and they have for whatever, but they have no credentials or history of being involved in whatever it was. In other words, they want to talk to you about opening a new business, selling tires, and they have no business experience. They've not gone no degrees, nothing in that area. Why would you interview someone with no credentials or credibility in that area?
So I don't know that I would.
Okay.
So tell me what question you're really asking me.
That's it. I just want to make sure I'm trying to protect you, because you don't get a whole bunch of people who say, interview me.
If I would be open to interviewing someone who maybe just wants to come on and bash you, but doesn't want to talk about the issues. If you ever come on with me, we always say to one another, this is what we are going to discuss. Are you okay with that? But it is not ever just a free for all. Get on here and let's just, it's all, we always have something that we want to discuss.
Yeah, and I think the people that in the past, everybody that I've seen you interview, and I've seen a bunch, has always had credibility and credentials in the area they're discussing to some degree. Work experience, education, they're in the profession, whatever that is, they're talking about things that they have demonstrated knowledge of and demonstrated experience in. And I think it's fair that if people want to talk, that they have some degree of expertise. If we're going to share it with our community, that's what you're doing as a public service. And I think, and you do that. I hope you are able to continue to do that and not just get into what are the talk shows at noon where people just come in and holler about stuff?
Like Maura Poll.
Yeah, and people
Yeah.
throw chairs and stuff.
Oh
Don't
my
throw
gosh.
a chair in
I'm
here.
gonna get a folding chair and throw at you.
There you go.
That was funny. Do you know what that joke is
I
about?
know.
Okay. He's over his head. I want to thank you for joining myself and the state senator tonight as we talked about the radical left progressive Democrats. We've talked about a lot of things today. And again, if there's somebody you'd like me to interview, you'd like to have on, you have any questions for the senator, please let us know. Shoot us a text message, and I will try to get those answers for you. You can join the senator on August the 28th at the Pavilion on Union, that is right beside the United Way building. He will be hosting a town hall there. Bring a chair and bring a bottled water, and we look to hear from all of you all soon.
Okay,
Thanks.
wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute. Let me look on my calendar, make sure I get it right. The 28th on Monday.
That is Monday, August the 28th. State Senator Dan Sullivan will be at the Pavilion on Union Street for a town hall. Please be there. I'm sure you'll see more things about it. We will also put it out for you all, and hopefully we'll have someone there that is going to video that live so that you can make your comments, and maybe we'll have someone in the audience that can ask your questions for you if you are able to be there.
I can see why people want to come on your show. It's always fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you all for being here with us on One-on-One with Felicia Johnson, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys.